Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And coming up today, I'm going to tell you all about the backstage reaction to Randy Orton's WWE title win. And on top of that, the first 8 team members for the men's and women's Survivor Series elimination matches have been confirmed.
Plus, we've got 4 champion versus champion matches confirmed for Survivor Series, and Elias went to number 1 last night. This is the news.
Let's kick things off by talking about Randy Orton, the new WWE champion, defeated Drew McIntyre at Hell in a Cell this past weekend. His 14th world title win in WWE, closing in on that 16 record. Ric Flair, I almost said Randy Orton, and John Cena have that at the moment, of course. But we've got a report here from Fightful Select, and it kind of goes in line with a lot of fan reactions to this event because, of course, Randy had faced Drew previously for the title at SummerSlam and Clash Champions and lost both of those matches. And then, suddenly, the guy comes along at Hell in a Cell and he wins. He's on top of the world. He ends a very popular and very successful title reign. And one of the biggest highlights on Raw, I think, since WrestleMania at the very least. Also, this came at a time when Randy had been very well protected between WrestleMania and SummerSlam as well. He had the greatest wrestling match ever. He reprised the Legend Killer gimmick. He was on a great run of form. Then he runs into Drew. He loses twice. Suddenly, he's the world champion. Understandably, the backstage reaction, while it is noted here that Randy is very well liked and respected backstage, particularly as in the past couple of years, he's made great effort to help out younger wrestlers integrate and so forth. The predominant reaction amongst the wrestlers that Fightful have spoken to is one of confusion, and that's for the reasons I've just described. The guy was protected, then he suddenly loses twice on pay-per-view, and now he's the world champion. So that is definitely in line with what a lot of people were thinking outside of WWE, with the fan reaction in general. With Orton, you're always going to get a kind of divisive response, right? Some people don't see what all the fuss is about with the guy in his simplistic, relatively old school style. A lot of people love the dude precisely for those reasons. So Orton could breathe and he will spark some kind of passionate response, from both sides. But they've got a point here, man. The booking patterns were a little bit weird, a little bit odd, but I got the impression from the pay-per-view and indeed from last night's Raw that maybe this isn't even over.
No, I sense that there's still going to be a continuation of this feud, like you say, as we alluded to on last night's really boring episode of Monday Night Raw, which is a worrying sign of things to come, I reckon, with Randy Orton as WWE champion. The one saving grace, and I think I always seem to do this, WWE makes crap decisions and I go, give it time. And then about 6 months later, I go, wait a second, no, that was just crap. But anyway, give it time. I'm going to stick to my guns here because the salvage job they can do on this is, of course, Survivor Series. You can have champion versus champion. And I think having Drew McIntyre get destroyed by the tribal chief would really kind of decimate his aura that he's built up. Yes, he lost to Randy Orton, but they sort of excuse that by saying, bloody fell off the cell for Christ's sake. So I think having Randy Orton getting murked by the tribal chief just to really elevate that sensational character we've seen grow on SmackDown. And then, literally 10 years, I think, to the day since Miz cashed in the last time. If Miz cashes in, if you're going to cash in on Randy Orton, who would you like him to face just before you cash in? It's the tribal chief, isn't it, who's going to destroy him. So I quite like that as a storyline if that's the direction they're going. Having said that, if they just have a kind of middling Survivor Series match that bloody Roman Reigns wins with a roll-up and then they go, just put the title back on Drew at TLC, it does seem kind of pointless.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how it all pans out. Maybe sometimes WWE don't deserve the level of trust, but hey, who knows? Maybe it'll be a good thing.
Exactly. As Michael Hamflett always says, trust the process. Despite everything, despite all the evidence to the contrary. Anyway, I mentioned Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. That is one of 4 champion versus champion matches confirmed on last night's Monday Night Raw for Survivor Series, which is literally 3 and a bit weeks away, I believe, Andy?
Almost 4.
Brand Warfare, Red versus Blue. We also got Asuka versus Sasha Banks confirmed. It's going to be the tag team champions facing off against each other. New Day versus Street Profits. Really looking forward to that. And Bobby Lashley, the United States champion, versus SmackDown's Intercontinental champion, Sami Zayn. Sign me up for that one, and probable shenanigans from Sami Zayn in that one too. I'm really looking forward to some of those champion versus champion matches, even if we have seen Asha versus Asha? Asuka versus Sasuke. No. Asuka versus Sasha already quite a few times this year. I'm still looking forward to like Orton Reigns, so long as it goes the way it should go and not a methodical Randy Orton match.
I'm really looking forward to Asuka versus the great Sasuke. That should be, the card looks really good so far. The thing about Survivor Series every year is that the build is kind of lame, the brand warfare stuff. T-shirt time! When they all just forget about their personal rivalries and show up in their colored, lovely t-shirts. But the show is usually really good, man. You get to see matches that you may not otherwise get to see and so forth. You get to see some unique pairings. The past few pay-per-views in particular have been really good fun. And I look forward to it every single year, despite what the build brings. Maybe T-shirt time won't happen this year. Who knows? Who the hell am I kidding?
It will, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's NXT in all this, by the way? Was that just a one-off?
Apparently, winning it last year means nothing in 2020.
Completed it, mate. Completed.
Yeah, we don't need to go back. It's okay, brother. We've already done that. Although, I'm talking about T-shirt time on SmackDown this week. Dolph Ziggler had a little cap, and Bianca Belair had SmackDown all over her ring gear.
That did look good, to be fair.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. But, speaking of T-shirt time developing, WWE confirmed 8 members of the men's and women's teams for the traditional elimination matches last night on Raw. So they're really getting things done early, and kind of like to see it, considering that this time last week we were 6 days out from Hell in a Cell, 5 days out, whatever, and we had like 4 matches announced. We've already got 4 matches here and some participants. That's good going. That's a good start. So on the men's side, we have Keith Lee, we have AJ Styles, and we have Sheamus. They defeated a bunch of dudes, Jeff Hardy, Elias, and Matt Riddle in qualifying matches. They're going to represent the Raw men's team. 2 spots still to be confirmed. On the women's side, we have a full team already. Pretty impressive. Adam Pearce and Pat Buck. They were backstage and they named Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Dana Brooke, and Mandy Rose. There was then a 4-way match to determine who was getting the next spot. Who won that? But Lana won that. Okay, she hugged Nia Jax after the match, and Nia Jax, of course, put her through the announce table for the 6th week in a row. Take a drink. But that's where we're at. That's how the teams are looking so far. We'll probably get more on SmackDown.
If only there was a really talented female star on Monday Night Raw that they could have had win that match. I'm not talking about Peyton Royce for once. Where the hell was Naomi in that match? She's amazing. What? Come on, you're getting yourself wound up.
Don't do this.
And also, was that Elias's first loss in 2020, by the way?
Of 2020, yeah.
Jesus. Anyway, well, good news to counter that bad news. Elias went to number 1 on Apple Music's soundtrack chart yesterday. He tweeted the following: number 1 in the world. He, of course, edged out Hamilton, which is no mean feat to get to number 1 on the soundtrack chart. Triple H tweeting his support for him. I mean, fair play for all the bollocks that they do. His album Universal Truth went to number 1. That's an incredible achievement, Andy. Yeah,
good for him, man. Like, he's a talented dude, multi-talented dude. He can play guitar, he can sing, he can seemingly craft a song that people want to latch onto. Hey, how'd you not be happy for that? Also, he's really jacked, and I admire anyone who's really jacked unless they're a prick. So,
there you go.
There we go.
That's a subtle dig at Simon Miller there. But anyway.
Whoa!
We're joking. He's lovely. He just doesn't like us. I'm joking. That's not the last news story of today, though. I'll get to something else finally that I really kind of want to vent my spleen about. Let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture, WWE, of course, we're going to get in touch with us. First question comes from Mrs. Walker, who says, I'm not a fan of playing hot potato with the Money in the Bank case, but what if Drew challenges Miz for it at the Rumble after this feud goes on for a few months and then cashes in at Mania to get his much-deserved WrestleMania moment?
It would be an interesting move. I would not be unfavorable towards them doing this. I think it's a pretty decent idea. The one thing that gives me pause is the report from earlier this week, yesterday in fact. This week is 2 days old, so of course it was yesterday, stating that they're going to do Randy versus Edge at WrestleMania with the gold on the line. So that would give me pause on that. Although you could even throw Drew in there and make it a freeway if you really wanted to, I guess. There's all kinds of interesting possibilities, and that is one of the more interesting ones.
Yes, and Miz is going to cash in 10 years to the day after he won the title from Randy Orton, which is Survivor Series 2020, basically. When have I ever been wrong? I would have been right on Sunday if Tucker hadn't screwed everything up. I can't account for stuff like that.
You know what I think of that, mate? I think you're having a giraffe. So
don't. Second question today comes from It's Lee Keith on Twitter, who says, "Good morning, guys. Do you think WWE should make the reward for winning your Survivor Series match financial? For example, if Bobby beats Sammy, he gets a significant bonus. It would be better motivation for why they fight each other." When we were talking about t-shirt time, this strikes me as a far better way of giving people incentives to win, Andy.
Yeah, some kind of incentive would be cool, or even like a title shot or something. And then you can feed that into whatever your next title program is going to be, and that'd be pretty sick. It's definitely something they should do. I don't think brand loyalty is really a strong enough premise for these things, and it's not entirely believable. Like I said, I like the pay-per-view every single year. It's usually a lot of fun, but does Bobby Lashley or whoever's going to be in the Raw team, AJ Styles, really give that much of a crap about a show he's just been drafted to? I think it's a good idea. Can you imagine if it was not a kayfabe cash reward, but a shoot cash reward, though? And all these guys just started shooting on each other to to try and win 50 grand or whatever. Shayna Baszler would wreck everyone. It'd be hilarious.
I'd like that. Plus, if that's happening, my money's on any team that's got Big Jord in the back. Big Jord! Go on, Big Jord. But yeah, I think I saw Sean Ross Sapp, put my teeth in today, tweeting about this. One of my favourite Survivor Series stipulations was back in 2004, I believe, when the winning team got to run Monday Night Raw for like 4 weeks straight. Obviously, that was Raw versus Raw, with Triple H and his boys versus Benoit, Jericho, etc., etc. But I really like that stipulation. So I don't know, yeah, like you say, some sort of title opportunity, although we're talking about champion versus champion. I don't know. I think the cash reward is probably the best way to do it. Anyway, final question of today comes from Mark Stoller, who says, "What's up, guys? If you could bring back any lost matches, what would they be?" Oh, by the way, Good Boy, of course. Good Boys, should I say. And I'd like to see a Jeopardy or towel match. That could be a fun way to advance and start some storylines. That's how MJF and Wardlow break up, suggests Mark Solid. So yeah, what missing matches would you like to see return? Well,
I'm going to be a prick, unfortunately, and talk about Halloween Havoc, which goes down for NXT this week.
Yeah, you said the magic word.
Oh, Christ.
Anytime you say those words from now on, I've spent £1 on this. I'm getting my money's worth out of it. It has 6 spooky sounds. That's one. Are we going to get any more? That's the question.
Well, who knows? The Chamber of Horrors. I want Abdullah the Butcher getting electrocuted again, please. Just bring back So Bad It's Good Wrestling for the year of our Lord 2020. We need that in our life.
And I want to see a blindfold match return just for the fun of it. And I reckon it is going to return at
Halloween Havoc.
Halloween Havoc. I don't know what that noise was. Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, blindfold match, please. I'm really going to get my money's worth out of that. Anyway, let's move on to today's and finally. And another news story. No fun and banter here. I just saw this. It was just like, are you bloody kidding me? Tucker's back on Friday nights. That's the WWE draft completely just thrown out the window. What, a week after they did it?
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks? I don't bloody know. He's back on Friday nights. This is reported all over the place today. They've just moved him to the SmackDown roster. He was going to do his response on Raw. He tweeted some cryptic tweet, and then they just went, no, put him on the blue brand so he can feud with Otis. So what's the bloody point of the draft, Andy? I mean...
Wait, did they honestly just move him so they could do that luchador thing last week when Otis had the mask on? And, okay. Relax. It's not worth getting annoyed about. Chill. It's WWE. They're stupid. They do stupid things. But this is one of the weirdest post-draft moves ever.
You literally have the one pay-per-view a year when people from different brands can face off against each other, and you go, no, just put him on SmackDown.
Yeah, bugger it.
And by the way, if they say on SmackDown on Friday, Tucker comes out and goes, oh, that's why I asked to be moved back to SmackDown so I can make Otis's life a living hell. Why wouldn't the New Day ask for that? They're literally your most favourite and most successful tag team ever. And they went, well, draft's a draft, so we're going to have to be split across the shows. And then Tucker's just gone, no, fancy working Fridays instead, boys. Sorry.
Don't let it get
to you. Bollocks.
Your brain will turn to sawdust if you try and make sense of this stuff.
Exactly. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts, including myself and the Daddy Boys reviewing Monday Night Raw a little bit later on. You can also let you know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Happy Birthday, Harvey Whippleman, Hervina. Shout outs.
Yes, follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, I've been Two-Face Adam Wilborn. Apologies, it's just weird, isn't it? I hate winter. He's been Andy Murray. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon. Don't do it, brother.